Charlotte had wanted to record that, and apparently the recorder wasn't working. But it was a slideshow of September 26, 2001 at Hood College, sponsored by the Community Commons and the Friends of the Lake, with Susan Simonson from the LLA. So he made the point at the beginning that it was marketed as a recreation community for year-round living. The objective was recreation community with the best possible living environment. And that's what he had researched for years, traveling all over the country and all over the world, looking for good living environments and what makes a good living environment. And for all income levels. His feeling was that design is not a function of size. And you can have good design no matter what the size is or materials or whatever. So this was the original entranceway off of 144, and it was designed, the sign and the trellis area and the layout was designed by Eaglehead Jones, who is a world-renowned architect. He received the highest award in architect and received from the AIA in gift. And the same award that Frank Lloyd Wright received. And so he's very well known. As a matter of fact, we have a coffee table book in there. You know, there are a number of coffee table books of his work, and Lake Linganore Recreation Center is mentioned in there. And we still have the designs for that. That's the pool was the beginning of his design. So, no, you didn't see the brown case. Dining room table. So Eaglehead Jones designed this, and then Van Sweden. I don't know if you know them, but they're very famous landscape architects, and they've done major municipal works all over the country, and they did the landscaping plan. So this was torn down when the county wanted to build Oakdale High School, and so now there's just the roundabout there. Oh, I'm supposed to press. Do I do the forward?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and press forward, but I'm going to pause it.
Okay. So this is slides 2. The slide with the lady's head. Where was that? You remember seeing that?
Oh, that's in 138, 139, 140.
Okay, so things got mixed up. Okay. So there was the slide 2 was another and a smaller entranceway sign with the Lake Linganore Eaglehead logo, and saying private, and the concept is private community for safety reasons and that sort of thing. And this is the sun, of course, with the eagle, and the eagle it's Lake Linganore Eaglehead, and the eagle concept came from Indian Cave Park, where if you look up, it sort of looks like a spread eagle. This is just to illustrate his concept of the best possible living environment. There was family friendly. And this is at the pool that was designed by Eaglehead Jones. You can see all the stones there on those stone walls are from the property, from the farm properties. And again, best possible living environment. Recreational community. That's a barn. Is that barn still over there?
Yes, it is.
Good.
Yep.
Hooray. The concept was to save all barns possible. The aerial view of the woodland, and woodland indicates a lot of these were abandoned farms because the soil was so poor. Dad had an agricultural background, and he was very conscious of good soil, bad soil for farmers, and a farm. Yeah.
Did you take stuff from Criminal?
Yes, thank you.
It's out of order when you're missing these 2 pages.
Oh, great, thank you.
That's page 4 and page 11.
Thank you. Okay, yes, I did put them in order. Thank you.
Did you fix a drink for me? Or?
Yes, I did. It's right here. So he was very conscious of preserving good farmland. So you could have one farmer on good farm, on good soil, and they'd be really doing well, and across the street they're on bad soil, and it's just night and day. And so he wanted to build on poor farmland. 80% of, this is an area of Lake Linganore area before the lake was filled, and 80% of it was poor soils and abandoned farms, and a lot of the woodland indicates abandoned farms, according to his notes here. And so he said he was the first to look at the soils. When he was considering doing this in the first place, he pulled out a soils map and showed what kind of soils were where, and saw, okay, this is not good for farming, this is where we should put the homes, so we can preserve the farmland. And the poor soils were class 3, 4, and 5, which is not good for farming. 80% non-productive soils. And so unfortunately, Middletown Valley, and I've forgotten what the other valley is, which are so fertile, they've gone ahead and developed in those areas, all that flat farmland is so fertile. And then all the stones from the farmlands where it's preserved, like rock walls. This indicates, again, poor soils, the farmers would pull all the rocks off their land. But anyway, as much as possible, they were preserving the farm fences like this, and also whether reusing them or keeping them as rock walls. This was the barn in Pinehurst. I assume that's gone now. Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. That was sort of overlooking Lake Louise, and there's again an abandoned farm. So he was concerned to make the best use of his land in spite of that, and save all the farm buildings. More abandoned barns, abandoned outbuildings.
So when were these, what era were these barns built? Are these like 1800s, or are they like 30s, or?
That's a good question. He would know, and we might even be able to dig that up because he has all the title work and all that kind of thing on all the properties. But that's a very good question. And if they weren't savable in order to restore, then he would save them, like this for that kind of stuff, But unfortunately, a lot of them were what do you call it? Looted by people and ripping them apart. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing this. I was just reading from a typed up portion. You don't have anything on the rest of mine?
You said you had an entire copy that you were taking.
Oh, mine leaves off at 11. So let's start at 36. Stone foundation. This was in the Coldstream Village Center. Abandoned houses. Oh yeah, I do have the hand. And that is where that slide goes. That ruin that we saw at the beginning. Do you know which slide that is? Because we put it in.
Which one?
Remember when I said no, that's at the end, and you thought it was the first slide? And what it is, this is really interesting. When this person sold this land to Dad, there were the ruins on the property of a big old stone fireplace, and he said that has to stay forever as a monument to the frailty of man's endeavor. And so that's just east of Balmoral, between Balmoral and St. Andrew, on the upper part of the lake. There's a trail you can take from Balmoral, hiking up along the lake, up and down, and you get to this old ruin. It's really neat. So fortunately, that's an area that's not going to be built on.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's just you can take a hike to it.
Oh, I am going for it. Okay.
Okay. So then he went into how it came to start, and he doesn't have very much in the way of notes. Also, I'll tell you what I remember is James McSherry, a lawyer in town and a real estate agent, came to him and said, "Hey, there's a farm for sale. This would make a great place for you to build homes." It was the Mainhart farm, and Dad's reaction was, "Oh, I don't think so. I don't need anything like that." And then he pulled out the GS maps and he looked at it and he could see this stream valley. And he started imagining things and he said, "Wow, this would make a great lake." And then he studied the soils, and this is all poor soils. Yes, that we could do this and this. And so he was poring over those maps, and that's how it started. He said, "Okay." And he had, before that, he had worked with the county he had pushed for PUD zoning, planned unit development. So instead of just having subdivision, it's like a whole area where you say, okay, we're going to have open space here and park there and homes there, that sort of thing. It's a more flexible and not the cookie cutter look of the typical subdivision. So he had initiated this in the county. He'd studied it, and then he wrote up the ordinance, and the county had actually passed the PUD ordinance by that time. So it was sort of like, okay, let's do it. So that was the beginning. And here's his study of the soils and the woodland cover. HOH. I finally found out what HOH stands for. Harmon, O'Donnell, and Henning Associates. They are a nationally renowned land planning and landscape architectural firm. So they came up with the master plan, and we're looking at all this. So his comments here are many top professionals looking at the land and deciding what is the best use of this land, where are the woodlands, where are the soils, where are the rocks, where is a good lake, and that sort of thing. So here is his break. This is the first master plan. There were 7 lakes that were planned. 4 were put in.
Oh, 4.
Mm-hmm. There's Lake Linganore, Lake Merle. Lake Merle was the first. Lake Linganore, Lake Nita Louise, and Lake Marion. And there was supposed to be a lake below Lake Anita Louise, Anita Marie, and another one in Woodridge, and I think another in San Andrew. So here's some master plan number 2, roads. So all part of the planning for PUD is the community as a whole. It was meant to be basically a whole community where people could play and work, and everything was there, so you didn't have to drive all the way to Washington or whatever. And so in part of the master plan, they decide where the parks go and where the paths go, and where each village, like Pinehurst and Coldstream, St. Andrew, was supposed to have a village center, usually around the barn. Like the Coldstream barns are supposed to. They actually have a design. We still have that design for there were 2 barns in Coldstream. We called them the twin barns. And so they were going to use those for churches and elementary schools and country stores and that kind of thing. So the concept was that everybody should be able to walk to a village center. So then lots of trails, and in order for kids to walk to school or to get to the village center. So here he has notes about roads. He's talking about the outer loop. The original plan was sort of like, for roads, was spokes on a wheel. The main road like this with roads going out, so you didn't have any congestion in one area. And the village is off that. More master planning. You can see where you live. Oh, can I back up? Does it work?
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you a few things about this. Okay, so there's that's where the entryway sign was, and that's where Oakdale School is now.
Okay.
And then Eaglehead Drive divided in two here with a very lovely drive through the woods. And if you get down there in the Jeep, I could take you in the Jeep sometime. This road is still travelable. All you have to do is get around the school. You drive down through the woods. And now here, right here is where the stables were. The stables were restored, and that's what I was telling Mariah and Barb, that I finally went back there and it's all crumbled to ruins. It was very pretty stables. So, and then this area right below the dam was developed as a campground. There's actually, the sites were cleared, and property owners actually camped there a good bit because you couldn't put a tent on your lot. And it's a very pretty site along the stream there. So, anyway, I think that's it.
So it's not a campground anymore then, right?
Well, it hasn't been maintained as a campground. When I could be glad to take you back there sometime, but there was actually a building, what do you call it? A building with showers and toilets and that sort of thing for the campground. So you can see where that is. It's all sort of collapsed in. But it's still really pretty, and you can sort of see where the sites have been cleared.
You'd think that, they're always looking for ways to generate revenue. You'd think they'd build it up and just, like any other campground, try to make money off it.
Right. Well, we'll have to talk about things like that. This was a plan for an equestrian village, where the lots were larger, where people could keep horses, and horse trails were designed all throughout, as well as the hiking trails. My cousin Anita Louise was a big horse person, and she rode all over the place. She said that was just, those days were just like a dream, just being able to ride all over the place. Mark slides. Okay, so here we go. It doesn't look like that now, does it? You can't get to it the way you used to be able to, but I'll explain to you how you get to it. But it's such a pretty spot. And back in, so this is what I was talking about, Indian Cave Park, where if you look up here, you see what seems like a spread eagle. And Balmoral is up above, the end of Balmoral. And now there's a trail down from, if you go to the end of Balmoral, you can walk down like that. And so back in there, they found Indian arrowheads dating back thousands of years. So that's why it's called Indian Cave Park. Very pretty. But unfortunately, well, I don't know, maybe we'll get to it later. Remind me to tell you about the sewer going through.
Huh.
Well, maybe I better tell you in case we don't get to it. I don't know if we will. But anyway, they need to run the sewer line to go up to Meadows here. And so, rather than destroying the trees, they imported this new flexible pipe from Germany. Now it's coming here, but then it wasn't. And they hand dug the sewer pipe and put it in. Now the county requires a 30-foot easement to put in the sewer. We've seen big, huge swaths cleared through the woods, and that's why. And so you couldn't, by the time they finished, well, this part right here where they put the sewer was part of the path, and then it went into the woods, and you couldn't even see where it went, just sort of on the trees. So that's also, you saw where the people were standing, it was right there. So the concept here, his point here was, we're missing on another one, Indian Cave Park, is all the considerations when you're doing the master plan is what do you save? Obviously you save that, and you save the surrounding area for a park. And it was, now it's more common, but it was very new then that 1/3 of all the land was be owned in common by everybody. So rather than having a big huge lot and everybody has their fenced in lot, you have smaller lots and then more common area up stream valleys. And the trail around the lake, that was very new, that concept. No one would own all the way down to the lake because everybody should have access to the lake. And people said, you'll never sell lakefront lots if they don't own down to the lake. Well, guess what? They sell because you can still have a dock, but now you can have that long lakeside trail. And then the bench of the lakeside trail is where they put the sewer in. So this is the lake area before it was filled. So this would be like Coldstream Beach.
Okay.
Let me see where we are.
Boyers Mill Road wasn't even built yet.
What's that?
Boyers Mill Road wasn't even built yet then, right?
Oh yeah, Boyers Mill Road was in because Boyers Mill dates way back. We actually have a picture of Boyers Mill Bridge used to be a covered bridge. We have a picture of that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll have to show that to you.
I thought the bridge was put in just because he dug the lake.
No, that was there before the lake went in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So some people, like the guy Rippian who lives right up there as you cross the bridge, or before, if you're going towards Coldstream from Newmarket, the guy with the red brick house, all of a sudden got this beautiful lake view in his front yard. So excuse me while I find my place here. You know, then this is where, right in the middle here, we're missing some slides here because this is where the picture of Lou and Bill goes. And they would go out and they would walk the land and they'd find where the rock outcroppings were. Every single lot that was platted, they'd go and look at it and what's the best orientation instead of just bam, bam, bam. You know? And so it was a picture of them looking out over the fields.
Is that the one that there's a print of in his office?
Yes, but we saw that towards the end, so when we bump into it, let's remember that's number 25. So, he says, much contemplation with consultants, hunched over desks in conferences and walking the land. What do you preserve? What's the best way to do it? Etc. And then some more Indian Cave Park. He said, be ashamed to see these beautiful places ruined. And then, okay, now we're up to 26. The valley before the lake flooded by Boyers Mill Road. And then that's the same, I think that's the same view. So that's Coldstream across the way. Same location with lake full.
But that lake, that's not a natural lake though, right?
No, that's Lake Linganore.
Right.
So you've seen the dam.
Right.
Okay, so that dam holds back 220 acre lake, which is this.
So this is a picture of a lake though, but...
This is Lake Linganore. And we're looking across the Coldstream Beach area here, but the beach isn't really, I think that's an old farm building. The beach would be right here.
But he dug this, right? Didn't he build this?
He didn't dig the lake, he just filled the valley.
Oh, okay.
It was a stream, it was a flood zone. And so that's why I say, he looked over the map, before he bought it and says, oh my goodness, this flood valley would be perfect for a lake. We put a dam right here and that would fill up all this, make a 220 acre lake.
Right, so is this before or after he built the dam?
Well, this is after because the dam created the lake.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. Okay.
Yeah. So this is
remember last time
before. So this was a before picture before the dam was finished.
Okay.
And this from the same location is after the lake was filled.
Okay. I guess I'm just looking, thinking about the last time I was here. Yet it seemed like you had the excavating pictures.
Well, the
first.
excavation there was no. Well, there might have been some trees they cut down, but for the most part, they didn't have to do much clearing.
Oh, okay.
There was some, but there was also, remember, they put the sewer in, so there's creating that bench on the sides for the sewer, so there could be that lakeside trail. So there would have been construction work for that, and then of course down by the dam itself, all the, the building up of the earth
right.
and that sort of thing. This was Linganore. It says this was Linganore Creek. I'm sorry that I'm just trying to see. No, I guess this is a different view of the lake. I'm sorry. I was just trying to see where I was. different view of the lake after it was put in. I think that's down closer by the dam. So there's the bench trail. They would have had to construct that, build that up there around there.
Okay.
It looks like we're looking down towards the dam.
Yeah.
And then this is Linganore Creek. And I don't know exactly where. And then this was the road, half of the road that went from the entranceway, where Oakdale High School is now. So it broke in two and wound through the woods like this, very, very pretty drive. And, quiet, I can't read this, quiet lane. Oops. This is Indian Cave Park, and that's our dog. Nita took that picture. And we're back to the entranceway for some reason. Yes, cherry trees. So all this landscaping was all ripped out. There might be a little bit left. I think they've left some of the pine trees.
And you said that was actually like a gatehouse, right? A gate?
Right. In here, there'll be another picture of it. And that's with the marigolds planted. Let me just see where we're at.
And that was all removed to make room for Oakdale?
To put that, why couldn't they have saved this? What they've got instead is that roundabout. Well, I don't understand why this had to go. Especially when you consider we're talking such a renowned architect. That's a distance view. So that's where you would drive through. I think there's a little bit of stonework left, but all those stones were from the property. So that concept was, the private community stopping at the gatehouse. These are some of the plantings. Now, these are wildflowers. There was a nursery. Eaglehead Nurseries over by St. Andrew. And I can show you the plan for that. They actually were running a nursery in order to grow plants to plant everywhere, dogwoods and all kinds of plants everywhere. And then they had a design for a nicer nursery they were going to build. So the concept was just to have a very pleasant invitation to come in a very pleasant country way. All through them. So they're imparting a sense of security and safety. This is Gene Winpegler. He lived on the property and he was really into his job. He was really cute about it. And there he is on horseback by the lake. He used to ride around the community like that. The concept was to have the community policeman who was friendly and approachable and helpful, but presence was always there. That's Gene on the beach, probably Lake Merle.
It is like that.
Okay. The beach at Lake Merle. Do you know the farm buildings at Lake Merle?
We haven't been there yet.
Oh, I've got to just give you a tour. I do have to give you a tour. Okay, so Lake Merle is a really pretty lake. And if you're standing on the dam and you look up, there's a very beautiful cluster of red farm buildings. So there's the red farmhouse and the red barn. And there used to be that was intended to be the village center. And the farmhouse was going to be a B&B. And the barn we actually used for square dances way back when. And then that's where the beach was on Lake Merle. But then when everything got sold off, that 5-acre parcel got sold off to a private individual. So then the association lost the beach, and that's why the beach is now at the very far end of the lake. It's a much smaller beach. But thank heavens the people who live there have preserved the barn and preserved the farm buildings, and it's really still very pretty. So this is the barn built in 1812. that was restored as the office building that I was telling you about. And this is where Oakdale High School is now. So this was the milk barn, and later a really neat playground was put in there with all kinds of natural playground. For instance, a tree trunk was turned upside down and put notches in it for climbing up, and all kinds of things. I remember when Dad was designing it, he was having such a great time thinking of all the things the kids could do. So, and then there's the silo back here is where the big wooden planks go up the stairway. And this is where I told you these main doors have plowshares for the handle.
And now that's all torn down now?
That is
for the high school?
right. No, it's a shame they couldn't use it for a community center or something. It amazes me when you consider Frederick County so big on historic preservation.
So how?
That was the before of the same barn.
So then that piece of land must have been sold off?
What happened is after, in the sequence of developers, the developer, actually it was what Oakdale used to be, Elm Street, so it was Oakdale, now it's Oakdale. But early on, when they were negotiating with the county said, well, if you want to do this, you have to give us this land for a school site. And so they gave it to them, and then the county reneged. So they got the school site, but the developer didn't get what was supposed to be the quid pro quo. And then the county was really in a hurry. And Charlotte said it was just happening overnight, the demolition, just before anybody could say, wait. So this is the before of that same barn. It's called a bank barn.
What's really neat about, what I love about this barn is the windows each window is arched top.
See?
And you'll see maybe in these other pictures. And you actually don't see that many barns like that. And they all have louvered airflow louvers. So you'll see, look for that when you see the other pictures.
So there were several riding rings for the horses, and this was one of them. And they actually ran, when I was working here, you see that was where my office was, in that barn. See that window right there, that was Dad's office. And beautiful view out in the countryside. And then up here was a farmhouse where the Linganore Center for Design was. And there were engineers and architects who worked there doing the work that was needed.
So what year was that all tore down for Oakdale?
Oh, that's a good question. My kids were my daughter was in junior high, and now she's 27. We could figure it out.
Yeah, I didn't know how old the school was.
And what was I going to say?
Built in 2000, the school's building was built in 2008.
Oh, good. Thanks, Anita. 2008. Okay, it got built up pretty.
In 2010, the school opened as Oakdale High School.
So this is the inside of the barn. The lower floor.
Doesn't exist anymore though.
Really?
Oakdale.
Oh, I
Come
thought you
on,
meant
Oakdale.
the one out there that you guys
No,
called
no.
barn.
No.
No, the pictures, the
Why don't
barn.
you back up, since you had so many conversations, just back up a few to get the context of me, Carol.
Okay, so this was.
This was by Oakdale. This is where
Okay.
Oakdale is now.
So where the dark band at the bottom, which is all glass windows, and to the left on that dark band is a white curved wall. The white curved wall was where the slides were shown. It's a
Theater.
And then the picture after this shows in that dark band.
Well, this is
Where-
the before of that barn.
So where all those little,
Oh, I'm sorry.
the bottom floor where the foundation is and all those funny little windows, that became this all glass window front, the dark front.
So that's what that
They
became.
restored that barn.
Yeah, not this.
Yeah.
Oh, how did we get? Oh, reverse. Okay,
So now
So
you're
that's-
inside that ground level.
Yeah. So you can see the hand-hewn beams, and this is open so that you can see all the way to the ceiling. And so the front door is right there, and then this is that big slab I was telling you, the concrete slab that was taken from the Maryland School for the Deaf, made into the receptionist desk. Timbers from the site, so you can see the original barn roof up there. So this is the second floor, where you can look down and up, and this is the floor where people would come up and see the master plan and plans for the community and that sort of thing. So that's looking down to the reception area. The tables and such came from Mexico. So that's that second floor where people would see what the plans were for the community. Display area. See the original ladder going up. The master plan there. So Indian Cave Park is right here. So you can go a trail down there, or else you can go to the end of Balmoral and go down there. Or you can walk along the edge of the lake in like that. Second floor display area.
It's gonna be a museum.
Yeah.
And we would have art shows here and that sort of thing, antique shows. You know, what a great place for
high school.
Exactly. Oh, this was one of the antique shows. Looking down from the top floor. So this is what it looked like when they tore it down. It seems to be repeating. Is it? That's the top level office. This big desk was from a big old walnut tree on one of the properties that Dad had years and years ago, and 15 years later they slice it up into a desk.
So 3-inch thick slab of walnut.
Okay.
Dad's actually sitting at the desk. You see his head?
Yep.
So here he says, flood of information, full disclosure, prevent argument. Good. The whole concept of make good neighbors by presenting everything up front. Good contracts make good business. Tell it all up front. And then he's saying, wouldn't that make a great restaurant? Or for parties, for community shows, art shows. Harry Richardson, do you know who Harry Richardson is? He's a painter who lives just at the edge of the lake. And he's a well-known Frederick painter. He does a lot of country scenes. And he's the one who did the painting of that house. So if you ever hear about a show he does really neat country paintings. Pretty well known Frederick. So he had a show there. Always activity up in the top of the hay mow. We talked about the walnut table. How does one? It's missing some slides here. So here he talks. I've seen this slide somewhere. A hayride. Kids were taking a hayride on the property. How does one go about developing this great wooded property? He said. Oh, there it is. No, it's not funny. It didn't come down before. So they had even way back then they had social activities for the kids, and they ran for a couple summers they ran a horseback riding camp. So this was the ride through Eel that you can't do anymore because it's on the other side of the retaining wall at Oakdale High School. Same, the road split in two through the woods. And then, yeah, that's the same road on the other end. Eaglehead Drive. And let's see. He says Lou and I would walk through and decide the location for the roads. Winnie and I couldn't figure out the abbreviations here, but the concept is, what's the best lay of the land for the roads. And the criteria is that they wanted narrow roads. Have I talked to you about the psychological speed limit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the concept was that if you have a narrow road, especially going through the woods, and then things are whizzing past you, and you have a sense of them whizzing past you, so you will slow down automatically, and especially if it's curvy and it goes up and down. But your peripheral vision creates a psychological speed limit, and so that was the concept as you drive through the woods. And now, of course, we've got these big, huge roads all through the county, and when Dad was trying to educate the Board of County Commissioners about these concepts, he took them on a bus ride through Montgomery County to show them good design and bad design, and subdivisions with trees cut down and subdivisions built into the hillside, etc., etc. And they went to one area, and he was talking about psychological speed limits, and they were all on a big bus, and they were on a big wide road through a subdivision. All of a sudden this car goes zoom past them. It's sort of like, okay, they are all giving me, did you plant that guy? So this road is also cut off now. So it says, let's see, criteria: narrow psychological speed limits, save trees and streams, handle traffic safely. Why do highway engineers put cars, trucks first? Trash trucks and fire trucks and something trucks, H&L trucks, all ahead of people, livability, speed control. So, I don't know if you've seen some of the newer cul-de-sacs at Linganore are really huge, and it's because they want to be able to turn the trash truck around. So it's just, asphalt all the way across. Divided highway, an alternative divided highway, trees preserved, sensitive to the land. Minimum grading, preserve small stream in the center. Also serves as the natural drainage way. Here, the trees are in the center of the road. That was one of the past ones. So, keep the trees, keep the stream. Save the tree. This is in Meadows. The road goes around the tree. Ah, it's an upside down. So this is the broad part of the lake, off the cold stream, just after you cross the stream.
So you said that tree was there to show how deep?
How deep the lake would be once it was filled.
Wow.
So that's the big part of the lake right there. I think we're looking up towards Pinehurst, the hill that Pinehurst is. That's, okay, this is Eaglehead Drive below the dam. So there's the dam, and there's Eaglehead Drive and Lake Marion. So this is before the lake was filled. You can
Okay.
see that it's still empty there. It says Eaglehead Drive makes a big bend, 80-foot right-of-way, 22-foot paved, winds through right-of-way. I'm not getting what this is all about. Oh, maximum sun on the paving to melt the ice. Curves to hold down the speed.
It's about road planning.
Yeah. So the concept is you have a large right-of-way, but only a smaller portion of it is paved.
Right. Instead of the full width or most of the width of the right of way.
He says, how's this for a major collector loop road? So this is the part of Eaglehead Drive that you can't get to now. This goes from the visitor center to the dam. There are miles and miles and miles of roads. A lot of people said roads weren't put in, but miles and miles and miles were. I mean, granted, they weren't all put in, and that was very unfortunate. But there were many put in. Well, here's for example. So what does this say? We're missing one. Okay, Lake. Oh yeah, there's Lake Merle. That's Lake Merle. There's that barn complex I was telling you about.
Okay.
And that's
yeah.
Lake Merle with the dam. So this is Balmoral. And this would be Meadows. And then this would be Gas House Pike. And so that's Meadows, and then Indian Cave would be down there.
Where's Guest House Pike?
This. Behind Meadows.
Huh.
So, like St. Andrews that way, and McKegg Road and Boyers Mill are this way. And then, so this would be Coldstream here, and this is before the lake was in.
Oh, I didn't realize to the north of Guest House Pike there was part of Lake Linganore too. Because that's to the north of Guest House Pike.
No, this is south of Gas House Pike. This is south. It's oriented the
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah. So the lake is here, but there are portions over by St. Andrew. There's a huge portion on the north part of Gas House Pike that Oakdale's going to develop. Do you know the Roby farm there? There's a big, beautiful stone farmhouse.
By Central Church Road?
I don't know. It's pretty much across from. It's
Across
little-
from West Winds?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. we
beautiful
know.
stone farm.
Yeah. The rumor is that that's supposed to be a senior living development.
Oakdale that was one of their things they were thinking of doing, but they're going to develop all around the Roby property. The Robys, I think, have 5 acres, and that was actually sold by. It was the first thing that was sold by Linganore, is that house, because they wanted to make sure it was preserved as it is.
The stone house?
Yeah.
Is it?
And then the first house that was actually built at Linganore, or not built, but the stone house where Boyers Mill Road and Eaglehead Drive cross, Coldstream. It's on the okay, so,
I think I know what you're talking about.
okay, Eaglehead Drive,
Mhm.
here's the community center with the pool, and here's Meadows. Okay, at this corner here, there's a beautiful stone house, old stone house. Well, look there when you're,
Yeah.
and close to that corner, it's not the very corner house, but the next one. So that was restored and sold. That was the first thing that was sort of sold as a home. Oh wait, I didn't read. Okay, there's Lake Merle again. Now we're looking at it in the other direction. So there's Gas House Pike. That's Gas House Pike.
Okay.
So there's that red barn complex I was telling you about with the original association beach. Now the beach is up here. And now all this is built up, of course. So, some people had said, apparently, I understand from one of the property owners that some people said, oh, well, Brosius went in and he cleared all the trees, so why can't they in Aspen North? But this was clear, this was meadow. This was one of the few open farm areas. And there was no clearing done, I guarantee. So Oakdale is now going to be developing this area. So Balmoral is here.
Figure out where that is. I guess that's quick.
Well, when you drive down here, you used to be able to see the lake but I think things have grown up there now. But Boyers Mill Road would be up here. Not far, wait a second. There's just one farm here, big meadow, and where that electrical field is off of Boyers Mill Road, to That would be right there. So the intersection of Boyer's Mill and Gas House Pike would be about here.
So it's before Boyer's Mill. Okay.
Well, before if you're coming from San Andrew.
Right. Yes.
Pretty hikes. There's some pretty hikes up in there too. So here he's talking about the pattern of village roads that are fed off of the Eaglehead Drive loop. So there's Coldstream. Oh wait, I just read what he said about here. Now, part of the concept of the smaller lakes feeding into the bigger lake is that they act as a silt pond to, at the top end of the lake to trap, so it doesn't all get down into the lake. And I know there's still a problem at the top end of the lake, but that was the concept wherever possible. And of course, there was supposed to be another lake up in San Andrew. I guess that would have helped. Again, narrow streets. Smaller lake retards runoff to the big lake. And now this doesn't follow what I've got here. Here he's talking about a road in the woods, keep the feel of nature, rural seeming roads and shrubs close, traffic calmer. So I don't know if we're missing one or if it's in the wrong place. Several principles here. Narrow roads, curves, slow to see what's around the curve, sod close to the road, trees close to the road, sensation of overhanging speed. Spots of sun and shadow also impact the sense of speed. But this
Sounds like a typical main road to me.
So this is Nightingale, Goldstream, the dam down there.
Okay.
Boyers Mill Road, Boyers Mill Bridge, the Esplanade. I think that one was out of place. Now we're back to the roads through the woods and the curves and all that kind of stuff. Okay, here we go. Lake Linganore Dam finished. 54 square miles in the watershed. 52 MGD, average daily flow.
Billion gallons per day.
From 2.5. So from 2.5 million gallons per day, record low. I can't read the rest. Something billions at the high. Discharge minimum of 8 million gallons per day, even in drought times. So the lake is to provide water supply for Frederick County, a recreational amenity, open space, enhance the value of the homes and sense of openness, enhance the community, control the flow, absorb surges, reduce flooding, reduce problems with increases and decreases. These fountains here are natural. It's just the pressure from above that causes those fountains. This fountain here is not working now. I get, but this is all built. Have you seen the dam?
I've seen pictures and stuff. I haven't been there.
We've driven over, but I don't think we haven't actually walked down there.
Okay. Well, Frederick County put a big, huge building there that's sort of out of place, unfortunately. But the idea here was to create recreational amenity, not just a big old ugly dam. And we used to camp at Swallow Falls in Maryland, which is a beautiful, beautiful area where the river. There are all these places you can play in the river. You can slide down the rocks and get behind the waterfalls, let it beat on your back, or just sit on a rock behind the waterfall, and go down the rapids. And so that was the inspiration for this. And well, I'll show you in other pictures. So there's an area there's a pool there. There were 2 slides, and a place where you could get behind the waterfall and sit on a bench behind it. and it was very fun. Once you went swimming there, you didn't want to swim anywhere else. It was really fun. But now they don't allow you to swim there.
We used to travel from Bethesda, Maryland, just to go for the day with our friends, like when we were your age, to go swimming because there was no other place around it. And this was before the era of water parks. There was I'm serious. There was no water park. There was nothing more than maybe a little slide in terms of water parks. Way
Yeah.
before any of the water parks that you see
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, Dad found an article about the first water park, and it was after this.
It was the first public water park.
So this is start of construction of the dam. So this is the Aspen area, the dam down there. Oh no, I'm sorry, the dam here, and that's Aspen. So is that the construction maybe you were thinking of? So
Yeah.
here they're building this, there's the concrete spillway right there.
Right.
And so this is that Eaglehead Drive from the
Coldstream
barn.
Beach, you can see where that is.
Coldstream Beach
No, up
would be
there,
around
right
here.
here.
That's right. Coldstream Beach would be there. So the big part of the lake would be here. Where that blue tree was about here. So, and you're looking over towards St. Andrew. Okay, start construction August 7th, 1971. Trees cleared, rocks moved, and they saved the rocks to put back there. Fall, well, I don't know. Fall 71, nearing completion, a Hall Road. Dam concrete work. Construction.
Yeah, these are the pictures I was talking about. Those.
Oh, really? Okay. So,
Has he ever recorded how many employees he employed to do all this?
I did find one thing, and it was in one point in time there were 250, but I don't know when that was. And Lou was the one who was always the one on site directing everything.
You know who Lou was?
His brother.
The brother.
So this is what became the trail, the lakeside trail there.
Okay.
So all the rocks that were pulled from the lake then were used to hold, for erosion control all around the edges.
Okay.
And then this became the swimming pool at the bottom. Finishing it up. These are the people responsible for the dam, the engineers and such. This is the stone that was placed there at the dam, a dedication by Lou and Bill to their father. Can you read it from back there?
Yeah.
It says, dedicated to the memory of our father, J. William Brosius, who fostered in us through his imagination, professional building ability, sense of responsibility, and self-reliance, the spirit which infuses Lake Linganore at Eaglehead. That was October 1972. And there was a big grand opening with the senator and the high school band and things like that. This is during flood stage, water going over the dam.
Aerial view. No. Is that an aerial view?
Looks like it.
Sort of.
This,
Coming down here.
so see how this is one of the slides down into this pool. So this is a pool, and then
Can you
there's
see it, Carolyn?
Pardon?
I'm having trouble seeing that slide.
this white epoxy.
Oh, it's epoxy.
Yeah.
Oh, there's someone in it.
Right.
There.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there was a long slide that went all the way down to the basin below, and then a shorter one that went into the pool here. And then you could sit against these rocks, and the water would beat on, like this rock was really funny because the water would come up and beat on you. You'd never go there during flood stage or like, when that pontoon was just got caught in the current.
So things will probably have the grass. all the.
Oh, they don't let
the
people,
little rocks.
they don't let people go there anymore.
They ripped up the slide.
Oh, they did.
So there's the long slide going down to the basement. It was so much
It was
fun.
so fun. Just didn't want to go anywhere else. Again, before the era of water parks.
So, when you go, these fountains aren't working anymore. This is high stage. You wouldn't swim in it at this stage.
Yeah.
And that's the pool area. So this is one of the floods, the Eloise
Yeah,
flood.
so that's what the flood would have been like. Well, probably not that bad.
It wouldn't have been that bad, no, because this is Eloise. So that's the swimming pool, and then so you could go back underneath this, and there's a ledge you could sit on if the water. Or else sit on the rock and let it beat on your back. So this is flood stage.
Wow.
This is real flood. So anyway, that is the flood that wiped out Eaglehead Drive. So sad. See? There's Eaglehead Drive. And the more sad is that Frank Ellis, do you know who he
Well,
is?
this is looking downstream.
This is at the
this
top
is
of the, here's the hills,
The
here's the
smooth
spillway.
water is the top of the spillway.
Right, and then that goes down here. It doesn't look like it goes down, but it goes down.
Okay, Eaglehead Drive, then Carol, run your finger.
So this is Woodridge, and this is Lake Linganore up here, Aspen here, the lake back there, campground over there. Our house down here. But Frank Ellis bought the property, became the developer, and a succession of developers. And he's the one who put in the homes in Colton, North Shore, that have ugly backsides facing the lake, and that's where they lost the trail around the lake, that area.
He did that?
And he also
Cole
put in
Street?
and he also put in some townhouses in all the wrong way. And so I went to him, and he had an office in the visitors barn, and I said, this is wrong. It's not how it's supposed to be. And so I sort of admonished him. And he said, well, let me meet your father. And he had just heard that Dad was senile and, he hadn't had any interest. But he was very nice, and he planned a picnic in Indian Cave Park and invited Dad and me. And they really hit it off.
He's a southern gentleman.
He is
With the
a
accent.
real southern
Very
gentleman. He's a real sweetie pie. And so it ended up, he hired Dad as a consultant, and he made a 180-degree turn. And he started building in sympathy with the land. And he learned all the concepts. So you will see in Woodridge up here, at the beginning of Woodridge, those homes there were built by him. And they all are sited for built for the site. The topography hasn't been changed. The trees haven't been taken down. They blend in with the land. They're not putting houses designed for a flat lot on a sloping lot. And he really got it. And he came up with a plan for rebuilding the Eaglehead Drive here, and for building the recreation center, and other things. And the county wouldn't let him. And the unfortunate thing is, now the county is letting Oakdale do everything he wanted to do. It's the new border, and it's all the ugliness. He would have done a good job. That's looking through one of the fountains. That's the short slide into the pool. It looks like
Oh, there you go.
before the pool was filled, or else a dry day, because usually it is up to the top there. So I understand some kids go and stuff like that. This was the design. Oh, you know about the Esplanade? What the Esplanade's all about?
If they're still building it, or they not building anymore? Or?
It's been fixed.
Oh, it's been. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. A tree crash or something.
Right, a tree fell
Yeah.
over on it. And actually, I told Bob, I'm concerned about the invasives, and those trees on that hillside are being killed off by the vines, and so
Mhm.
that's going to happen. Because the way the vines work is they do the edge of the woods, trees go over, and then they're back to the next row. And they've just got to make that a priority. But anyway, the esplanade is that concrete walkway along the
We
lake.
haven't been there yet. You can see it from the road, but we haven't walked it yet.
Okay. Well, the reason for it, I mean, you say, well, this is sort of intrusive on the land, but if he had put the sewer in by conventional means, they would have had to rip all the trees apart off the hillside and flatten the land. So instead they moved the sewer line across laterally above the water and then put a walkway on top of it. So that was the reason for that. So then you still have the entirely wooded hillside. Now, you remember how I told you the county wants 30 feet
Yeah.
right away, so 30 feet width of trees would have been. So this is part of the esplanade that was never finished, but right now it's just a straight walkway, but they were intended to have seating areas, benches,
Okay.
and that sort of, and wood railing, and you see a dock there. So that's the esplanade under construction before the lake was filled. And so you see that's where the sewer runs. And that's pretty much what it looks like these days. But not finished. It was, going to have a softer look with the wooden benches and railing and stuff. The lake, people sailing. Let me see. Do you want anything more to drink? Are you doing okay?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
So, I just was explaining about the seating areas and the railing that were supposed to be part of the esplanade to sort of soften the look, and docks and things like that. So, there's the rest of the esplanade. This is Lake Merle. Wait, let me just read what I might have missed. Okay, so about the esplanade it says problem: sewer and water in the lake. Sewer runs downhill, steep wooded hillside, so designed it above the water to save the trees, and gained a walkway, and were able to retain the path around the lake. So they actually created a casting yard and cast the concrete here. This was a whole new concept. And that esplanade actually received 2 awards, one from Environment Monthly and one from the Engineering Association, for its novelty and getting around that problem. So they actually cast the things. That's why Steve Hembry was over here, because they had to figure out how to rebuild that section. They wanted to find anything. So concern about having alternatives to car transportation, bike trails, golf carts, etc. Return to the lakes, that's where the sailing, the hub of the community about which all else resolves. Sailboat races we used to have. No motorboats because of the noise and the pollution. Sailboat, no oil spills, no gas, no noise pollution, no wake, erosion control. Okay, now we're getting back to Lake Merle. In 1971 it was finished. Eaglehead Drive is at the top left hand, going towards Balmoral. And then that barn complex I was telling you about there with what used to be the beach. So that's looking from the other, this is looking from the dam up towards Gas House Pipe. So that's where the B&B would have been and the barn community center. That's see there's the barn in the background and the beach. Or meeting place, conference center. Oh, ice skating on the pond. There was a pond outside the visitor center. I remember at work at lunchtime I'd go out and ice skate. And it's the craziest thing at Oakdale High School. They built a huge, I said, what happened to the pond? Where's the pond? Where's the pond? And they have a huge retaining wall around this pond because they were worried about flood control. Which is the craziest thing. It never flooded. And Eloise and Agnes, it never flooded. Excuse me for getting all riled up.
We've seen a lot here, so.
Now these are two other lakes in Pinehurst. Have you seen Lake Linganore in Pinehurst? Okay. So the concept here is there's a farm pond here, and then, oh, I'm sorry, farm pond up there. Then the first lake with an amphitheater, and this was actually built in the older pictures. You can actually see the steps, earth steps going up. So there's an amphitheater around the swimming area here, and then this was an amphitheater around, meant to be an amphitheater around a theater in the woods type of thing. So this one was built. This dam was not built. I think so. I can't believe that. Okay. Double duty, 2 dams, 2 lakes, a road connecting, 2 stadiums, water sports, outdoor theater. There's a lovely trail that runs along there now, by the way. So that's the lake after it went in. These are some farm buildings. There, see the steps going down?
Oh, okay.
And so there you can see in the distance the golf course. Now here he talks about the names. Okay, so the two, Lake Anita Louise is my cousin, and Anita Marie is my sister. Lake Merle, that's my mother's name.
Now he didn't build the golf courses, did he?
I don't know whether his company built it or not. I mean, he engaged the designer. I sort of think they did. I know they built the, what we call the 19th hole. I'm not sure what it's used for now. Let's see. That's Lake Merle. Sand stops erosion and filters of the shore, filters the runoff, prevents storm erosion. Somehow we missed that. Okay, so the lakes were seeded with a variety of fish. They were stocked, and he was in touch with whatever the Maryland Association is for that kind of thing. There's great fishing. Do you fish? Okay.
We've done it, but not here.
You're welcome to come fish in our stream. There's great fishing in the stream. Because the fish come up for the aerated water going down. The tenant over here gets amazing. He got a huge catfish the other day. Amazing. That's the visitor's barn again. The dam. And I don't know why this is in here now. 1975 flood at the dam, Eloise, 6 feet deep over the spillway, 25-year storm. Agnes was a 500-year flood in 1971. This is the design for the marina, which was to be built in the inlet in Coldstream.
And the paddle boats.
Yeah, he says, why don't we have paddle boats for rent? Okay, this is where he was telling about how do you put a sewer through there if you care anything about natural beauty and preserving nature. Imagine a big backhoe, bulldozers and dump trucks through here. What would be left? Sewer water runs downhill. 500 plus homes were planned uphill from here. So they are digging it by hand.
All those rocks.
Yeah, yeah. So they're welding pipe, using new technology, get pipe that can be laid in curves that is long 40-foot lengths from factory that can be welded jointless lengths from MH to MH, whatever that is. It has no mortar joints to leak. We pioneered 13.5-foot lengths. Oh, I see, that's what it used to be. And we pioneered 13.5-foot lengths of fiber cement pipe when the city was still using 4-foot terracotta and used PVC for water system and in plumbing. So that's what became the walkway. Path through Indian Cave. End of this, a nice path, part of trail system, enables people to easily walk through the rough terrain and enjoy it. All trees still there. When trees blocked the way, we tunneled under them, and they're still there. So that's what it ended up looking like. But go see it now. It looks quite different, because the county came in and redid the sewer and took down a lot of trees. And so as a result, a lot of invasives are in there because it opened up to the sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have as many trees, and the path is much wider. This is putting in the sewer along the lake, and that became the bench for the walkway. It seems like that one's out of order. Horseback riding. Let me see. He was talking, he said, at my house that's here, the county has taken a 40-foot right-of-way, 60 feet construction in that area. Normally every plant would be destroyed. I negotiated to save some significant plants. So when they wanted a right-of-way along here, so he got them to narrow it down and save some of the trees. So the other one was bench cut above the future water line on each side of the lake, 13.5-foot lengths of fiber pipe. I can't read this next part. Trails along the lake, they're horseback riding. The lot stopped 40 feet short of the water line. And I told you that about that it's reserved for all the members. Always available. That's the one that was supposed to be somewhere along here. Walking the land. And that's the one that's supposed to be number 2.
Oh.
So that's the end of the first carousel. You want to end there?